Hi, welcome back to Burning River Bushcraft. Today we're going to prep a dozen brand new snares for the trap line. So I just made up a dozen new snares. Now I did not show the process because it's exactly the same as the repairing a snare in the field video that I did, except I use my bench crimpers. So this is a much more secure crimp than just smashing it with a hammer. Now the type of snare lock I'm using is a cam lock. Now this is one of the more aggressive locks that's available. Specifically, these would be used for like coyote or hog. This is a bigger game lock. So these are pretty heavy duty. So I'm going to show you how to prep a brand new dozen snares. So this is a brand new snare, and this is a seasoned snare. So this one has been used before unsuccessfully because it's still in one piece. But this is a traditional lock. Now with a snare, they do have memory, so whatever your intended catch size is going to be, you know, this is about an 8-inch snare. I've got this set up for a raccoon. You want to keep the snare in a circular shape in this size. So anytime, you know, I keep it wrapped, the snare is protected and the snare is the size that I am after. Now this is a Thompson style lock, so it has a small hole. It's exactly the same one that I used when I repaired the snare in the field. On a brand new snare, on a brand new cable, you're going to want to exercise the lock back and forth. You're going to put an angle on that each time you do it. So what that's doing is that's actually deburring the cable. So you want to go all the way down, you know, to deer stop height or deer stop circumference. And make sure you got a nice smooth cable, a nice smooth lock. So essentially you're deburring this whole thing. With this cam lock style, you know, that's really not needed. You know, I've got a pretty good size hole, and then when it cams over into place, it locks up pretty hard and you don't have that tight clearance like you do with a Thompson style lock. So once you've got it deburred, you know, I'm going to establish my circle. So this is going to be, you know, about an 8-inch snare, so it's going to stay 8 inches forever until it catches something. So I wrap the cable like this, you know, that way it's more supported. Now this snare has been treated in baking soda. So what I did is I boiled this in baking soda, and then I just threw it outside in the leaves. You know, I let it sit for a couple weeks, and that gives it its nice gray color. And you can see, compared to a brand new one, you know, which one's more likely to be seen by the animal. You know, even though this is not a natural color, this gray blends in great. If you don't mark these snares, you're going to lose them. But besides baking soda, there's other options. Now, I've never had a problem with baking soda boiled snares. But what it does do is it removes all the oil. That's what lets it get this dark galvanizing type finish to it. So what you're doing is you're possibly creating a point of rust inside the cable that you can't see. So I've went away from boiling. Last year's batch, you can see it's a little bit darker yet. So this is new, this is baking soda, and what this is speed dip. So as I was dipping my traps last year, all the new snares I made up, I went ahead and dipped them. And you can see the color's great. The problem with the dip is if you're going to dip snares, you have to dilute your solution. So when this came up out, I had to go back and deburr to make sure there was no you know, gummy solution on the cable. And there was quite a bit of it. So by deburring it again, you know, just running it through the lock, that took care of that problem, but it did create quite a bit of buildup on the snare itself. So for this year's batch, I'm going to use spray paint. So before we worry about any scent of the spray paint, got to keep this in mind. The first step we're going to do is degrease these. So I'm going to use a brake cleaner. You can also use gasoline. On my dipped traps and the dipped snares that I used last year, that's based with gasoline. So you leave them outside, all that scent evaporates. So if you can't smell gasoline, you sure ain't going to smell spray paint on these snares. So the first step is going to be to hit them all with brake cleaner and get them nice and degreased. So that's a straight, simple process. You know, if I did not have brake cleaner, carb cleaner to work on this, and again, straight gasoline will degrease these. So I'm using just Rust-Oleum camouflage. You know, any type of non-shiny gloss finish would work on this. So the snares are just kind of overlaying each other. What I don't want to do is worry about any type of pattern. I'm just going to give this the lightest mist I can possibly do and still get just a little bit of coverage. After I get these sprayed, they're going to sit outside for about a week. Again, that's going to disperse the smell and give them a little bit of age. You know, looking at this color, this is a like a dark OD type green. So you know, whatever, it is what it is. All I want is not shiny, and this fits the bill. So I got this side semi kind of coated. I'm gonna roll these things and hit the shiny parts. So I like the way that was looking, so I went just a little bit heavier than I originally planned on. But that's a good looking snare right now. You can barely see him in camera, at least I can't see him in the viewfinder, so it should be good. Now I am still going to open the snare up and then exercise the lock back and forth, you know, to make sure I don't have a heavy spot. So this is such a light coating of paint, you know, it's dry to the touch already. I'm gonna leave them outside in the wind and the weather for about a week or so. You know, by then I should be getting ready to start setting some snares. But till then, this is Jamie Boggs with Burning River Bushcraft. See you next time.